Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you 3 or 4 interesting news stories. This time, it's all about space. And we're going to get you on your way in about 20 minutes. Today, my guest is Robert Ahlness from the Broward Public Library Foundation. Different organization, technically not the library. Tell us, Robert. Tell us all about it.
Thank you, Bob. Well, so I'm Robert Ahlness. I'm the Director of Philanthropy for the Broward Public Library Foundation. And as Bob said, we are a separate 501c3, and our organization is really driven to increase the impact and reach that library programs can offer our community. So we focus solely on the Broward County Library. We're very proud to do so, and we're very proud of the programs that are being pushed forward. We got Conference on Children's Literature coming up, Storybook Festival, Books and Bears, really great programs, all funded by the Library Foundation.
But the whole summer learning program we just completed.
Also that just ended, yes, that one. But that's in the past, right? Looking ahead.
We're going to have all sorts of fun stuff. Speaking of looking up, very nice segue for me, sir. Are you into meteors and meteorites?
I mean, if one's coming around, I'm going to be looking for it.
Excellent.
So,
we do have a moon rock here, by the way. That's another thing the foundation does. So that's one of the reasons why we're always interested in space around this place. So the Perseids are Perseids. I'm going to mess that name up for the rest of my life, I think. But there's 2 really fun things happening right now. Is one, the peak of the meteor shower is happening effectively now. And so the night of the 12th, we are filming this on the 10th. So hopefully you're listening to us now or very soon. And you will, when you get this on your podcast feed over the weekend, go outside, look up at a dark sky, and hopefully catch some meteors. Have you done that before? Have you gone out, laid out on the grass and just watched for meteors?
I haven't yet. I'm really excited. I've been watching the Perseids, this story, and heard about them because they've been since basically the start of August, and waiting for this weekend to come. And I'm anxiously watching our skies. As much as South Florida has a lot to offer, clear skies is not often one of them.
So definitely. If you're in South Florida, you need to go west. Get as far west as you can. One of the things I've done is gone out to the conservation areas out in Western Broward and go up there on the dikes out there to go watch out there. Or if you're really into it, get in a car and drive on I-75 and get out west, get out on 27 or get something way out there and you have access to it. And this will be in our show notes so you can come back and watch because I don't want to talk about it too much, but you can use a regular FM radio in your car. We did a story on FM radios in cars back when. You can just listen on some stations, and we'll have a link to it in the show notes, as I said, for the stations, where you'll hear the buzzing on your radio as they're going overhead.
I read about that. I was really interested in how cool that is to think that it kind of causes that like a static interference.
It's that a little bit of that ionization that's in the atmosphere and the radio waves bounce off of it. And so it causes just that little bit of bzzz in your radio. And that's your clue. Wait, one is going overhead right now. Now, it's probably too late by the time you hear it to see it, unless you're looking in the right direction, but it is a clue for you. So if you're out there and you're trying to figure out what do I want to do, here's something to do for the weekend.
Yeah.
You need to get out of the house and you want to wait till the nighttime when it's cooler anyway. It's going to be you want to do this in the middle of the night. Best time is like 2 a.m. It's not 90 degrees at 2 a.m. So,
yeah. What I thought was really cool as I was reading through this article, learning a little about it, is that I kind of knew what meteor showers were, like particles coming into our atmosphere, but I didn't realize that these were essentially the debris from a big old comet.
Yeah.
Flying by us.
Yep, this is Swift-Tuttle. This is the one that we watched, 15 years ago or longer that crashed into Jupiter.
Was the last time it came
by.
So
Yeah, it's just crazy. And also, by the way, we're having a second full moon later on this month on August 30th. So when you see somebody talk about a super moon or a blue moon, that's what they mean. It's the second full moon in a regular calendar month. It's cool. It's a coincidence that we happen to have two of them in the same month. Meteors are much cooler.
Watched it rise through my window. For this one, you go east to watch it come up. For the meteor shower, you go west.
Yes. Because if you go east, down here in South Florida, you get a chance to watch it come up over the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool life down here, folks. Come work with us. Speaking of cool life, we don't get to see these. So Artemis 2 is practicing right now for landing. And you'll remember Artemis 1 went up and came back already last year. Next year, we're going to have Artemis 2 go up. And Artemis 2 is the practice mission. They're not going to land on the moon. They're going to go around the moon and then come back. And that's what they're doing. They're practicing landing right now to make sure that they know how to do this. They've landed the capsule a couple times now. Now they're starting to land it with people inside. So those astronauts get a practice.
I thought that was interesting, is that the people in the capsules are not the astronauts.
Yeah.
They're just, I don't know if they're volunteers from the Navy or what.
They are voluntold, I think, from
probably
the Navy.
Voluntold.
I'm pretty sure people ask to be put on that list because how many times do you get to be in a space capsule?
When I was first reading this, the first place they mention it is they just say 4 people standing in as astronauts. And my immediate thought was, I'm a person.
Yeah.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
Wait, people. I'm a people.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't do a lot of that there. But inside of the capsule, I'm getting to the picture. Here we go. So here's our picture of the capsule of what this looks like when it lands and pops up. And you can see where they're trying to get people on and off from the top there. It's complicated. It's hard. And
they multiple helicopters. They got Navy battleships. They got boats, flotation devices.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on with this. Mm-hmm. And if you want more on the splashdown things, by the way, this takes place in the Pacific Ocean, not in the Atlantic. So we don't get a chance to see the landings here. We did do a show last August with Slade Peters, who's in charge of the whole recovery operation thing. So go back on our YouTube channel and you can watch that interview with him. He was really fun and gave us a lot of cool information about driving the ship up to it to pick it up. Is kind of interesting.
Pretty cool.
And NASA's doing something else that I really like. They're saving wine for me. I'm pretty happy with this one. So if you're not aware, NASA does a lot of ground-based things. They do weather, they're part, NOAA and the whole thing for hurricanes. They also do scientific exploration using satellites, using drones, and in this case, airplanes to use ground radar to see what's going on the ground. In the past, they've done things like check out old Mayan ruins and stuff to do some satellite research and things. This one, they're checking to make sure the wine isn't getting invested. That there's some particular diseases that can spread through the grapevines, and they're making sure that those sorts of things are not. GLRAV3 is the disease, which
it's a mouthful. I do like it like that. It sounds very scientific when like the GLRAV3, but it stands for a grapevine leaf roll associated virus. Yeah. So it's kind of like usually it's very scientific words all throughout, and I thought that was interesting. It's a cool idea. I'm a little curious because it looks into the cells of the vines.
So go ask.
No, well, it's a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious what other things they can, like others, can they look into to other cells, human cells, things like that?
Well, yes and no. So one of the things is this disease is in the cells of the plant, and that's what causes the grape leaves to curl up, which causes additional issues with what's going on inside of the plant for photosynthesis and everything else like that. And what it does is, because it invades those cells, it causes that reaction on the outside of the plant. So that's what their radar is looking for. What sections of the vineyard have these oddball shaped leaves? That's how good their radar is.
I thought it was more than that, because part of what the article was saying is that it can take up to a year for some of the discoloration and the physical shapes to show up, but that they can see the way the sun, the light is interacting. It's like a photosynthesis interaction in the cells of the plants, which is just out of control cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. And they're saying they're already up to 87% accuracy on being able to determine that. So that is really, really good. They are getting through 300 acres of crop to be able to find these ones. They go over, they fly over. Here's all these crops you need to go check. People go out and physically manually double check on it and say, and 87% of the time where NASA told the growers to go look, they found it. Yeah. So I'm hopeful. Nice, good California wine. I can live with this.
It's a cool concept. It's a cool idea, and certainly if it's something that can be probably made a little bit easier to manage. Not require quite the manpower or the technology, or maybe even like on drones and such. It could be applied to crops all over the world.
Oh yeah, 100% right. And you bring up a really good point. That's where NASA does. They've got the big, huge plane. They've got all the super fancy equipment, and now they help miniaturize it so it fits onto a drone, and other people can use it. Just like we have calculators now because of what they did, etc.
I could see a farmer just having a drone, hooking their little bird to it, sending it up, flying it over their crops themselves, and getting the data, running it through an AI system or something.
Yeah, that through this analysis thing, it is exactly. You're right on target with that. It is something that this is where our money for NASA is going to fix problems here on Earth as well as up in space. It's a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
Another good thing, not a NASA thing, still cool, still good. So nuclear fusion. So fusion is something that happens where you are, unlike a atomic energy, traditional current atomic energy, where you're splitting things apart. This is where you're forcing them together, and you're using lasers to fuse the things together, hence fusion. One of the challenges with this is that they've only pulled it off once so far, to take lasers, shoot them together at a single tiny point, and have more energy come out than went in. Sort of.
Yeah. I was reading it, and it's like as you read through, it's like, ish. For what they said, like 1 billionth of a second, it was on for the first time. Like it was faster than you can snap.
Yep. So the input was 2.05 megajoules of energy, and they got out 3.15 megajoules worth of energy, which is great. It sounds like, hey, wait, we're putting in and we're getting out more. That's a great idea. Except that it doesn't count the energy to fire the lasers. That's just the energy that the lasers are putting out.
Lasers.
So like all that coal / whatever power plant behind the laser is what you really have to start counting in, which is why this is like really cool, but not quite gonna save us yet.
Not yet. But maybe soonish.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking few decades. I'll still be alive in a few decades.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be alive when this happens. That's a very good point there. And like you said, this is the second time they've been able to prove it. They had one time they did it. Now they've got a second time they've done it. They're proving it.
And the last time It was not that long ago, wasn't it? Just last year.
Yeah,
It was
within a year they've been able to pull it off. Yep.
December 2022 was the first time. So I mean, if you're looking at that, that's 8 months to do it a second time. That's good rate of return for the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now the secondary thing you want to see is someone else to be able to reproduce this also. Yep. Which leads us to our last story of the day. You may have heard of LK99, maybe, or you might have just heard someone hyperventilating about superconductors, and we've got this brand new great thing we've got a breakthrough, and we can do this superconductor thing at room temperature, which is a key thing for it. So to be very clear, what a superconductor is it means you can conduct electricity. So you can do all sorts of different things with this. And it works at room temperature, not needing to be cooled down really cold or something like that. We use superconductors every day. fMRI machines, all sorts of things like that. Those use superconductors. They're not terribly efficient sometimes because of how cold they have to be or whatever other magnetic stuff you have to do to contain it and get it right. So at the end of July in South Korea, two physicist people uploaded 2 semi-competing papers saying they found a way to create a material that's a superconductor at room temperature. And they put up this proof and they showed a little video, and the world, at least in the science world, all went crazy.
It should be said, though, that as crazy as all the science world went, they uploaded it to a site it's intended, essentially, it's like the very first draft of a paper. It's not been peer reviewed. It's not being published, so it's essentially what I read it as. It's a science, someone in the science world had an idea and it seemed like it could maybe be an idea. And then everyone took it and was like, oh, this is real. Really blew it up. This is
a given fact, right?
Yeah. Well,
which is exactly, thank you very much, Robert, because that's exactly why I wanted to bring this article up is, yes, this is how science works. Someone puts up an idea and says, hey, this is something I did. This is how we did it. And somebody else takes your exact same work and says, okay, I'm going to go do that. And oh, wait, I cannot replicate your results. So that means something's wrong. Either the way I did it is wrong, or the way you did it is wrong, or there's something we're not accounting for in here. Remember last week we talked about the difference between science and pseudoscience. This is how science is. Now, just because everybody is saying, no, this won't work, doesn't mean it can't. It's just this particular method isn't going to.
And this is not the first time that a room temperature superconductor has been thought to have been potentially found. Yeah. There's been a few times, I think. So it's very exciting. And I might be wrong here. I can't remember correctly, but I think what was the original Iron Man comic? Didn't he use micro superconductors?
Yeah, he used some kind of something,
like in his in the original comic suit, it was something like that. So if it comes through, who knows? We've got fusion reactors, which I wrote. The very first thing I wrote when I was reading this is space travel. I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. To be able to get up there and do real travel like that, to go for a long time, the energy that kind of thing can produce. And you're right. These two go hand in hand that way also, because these kind of materials are the things you need to be able to make those better systems work. Right. I mean, they're using superconductors in trains right now in Japan, but you have to cool them down so much that it just doesn't quite work. And instead of their current estimates are they could, instead of the 93 miles are going right now, with the correct superconductor, they could get up to 300 miles, which, man, can you imagine 300 miles an hour across the United States? You could go to New York to California in what, 4 hours?
Great. Hook that up to the Bright Line, please. We'll be Disney and back every day.
Yes, 100%, 100%. But so, and if anybody's out there saying, well, what do you mean by room temperature versus what they're doing now? Why is it important? It's because the current process, you need to take it down to negative 452 degrees.
Yeah.
Not an easy thing to do. And obviously takes up a lot of energy. If you could make your devices work at room temperature, that would be a great thing.
And what the superconductor does, the reason when they say superconductor is what we have now running our power from our homes in different places. It wastes energy.
Yeah. Every time everything emits some sort of heat.
Superconductors really reduce that, so your efficiency, really goes up.
You know your stuff, Robert. This is why we have you on the show.
I know my stuff for the show, Bob.
You know a bunch more. Before we go, I want to throw up the Meta Broward because you were the person who's really spearheading Meta Broward. Tell us about what this is for all of our local people down here in South Florida.
So Meta Broward is the Library Foundation's young professional group. We are a group that's looking to bring together like-minded individuals who want to grow professionally and intellectually and culturally. We have networking events, but then we also look to put together educational events, programs around things going on in our community. We went and did a really cool tour of the South Florida Wildlife Center, had a presentation about our local Dania Beach monkey population. We're doing a presentation this weekend on starting a business. So, it's meant to kind of be an elevated option for young professionals to get out in the community, to see the library, support the library, and be with people who want to both grow themselves and grow everything around us.
I've been to one or two of the events. They're fun things.
Really good. Yeah, you helped do we did a green screen event with you.
Yeah.
Really cool.
We did some fun things.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Robert. We've flown right on by our time as always. Let me toss up our ending screen here. If there is a library or librarian you'd like to see featured on the show, email us, creationstation@broward.org, and we'll see everybody next week. Have a great time.
Thanks, everyone.